These young men are Bill and Gary Middleton, and as far as we can determine, they are Pittsburgh's only domino topplers. Hi, and welcome to our TGIF show. I'm Dave Durian.
And I'm Liz Miles. They have formed a company called Domino Stunts Unlimited, and tonight, here at the North Hills Village Mall, they are going to set up and then knock down 4,800 dominoes, and you'll see that at the end of the show.
But coming up in just a few seconds on Evening Magazine, you will meet actress Sherry Mathis, who daytime TV watchers know better as Liza from Search for Tomorrow.
Also tonight, if you like glamour sports, spelunking is definitely not for you. Spelunking is cave exploring, and you'll get a taste of it tonight.
In our departments, here's a treat for the picnic this weekend. Why not try Ted White's Zucchini Salad for a change? And the Phantom Diner has found some soul food in Pittsburgh at Bob McCalls.
And if you're planning a party this weekend, you may be interested in tonight's Evening Inquirer's question. We asked Pittsburghers how they cure their hangovers.
He is a shy billionaire. She, a beautiful young widow. Together, they've been called the sexiest couple in daytime television. Actress Sherry Mathis plays Liza Caslow, the female half of this fairy tale couple. And a typical day runs 12 hours or more.
Do you know where you're staying in Florence?
A guy who was on...
Get up 6:30, go to the studio by 8, be in rehearsal at 8, finished about 3:30. And then if I can run to a voice lesson, half-hour voice lesson, till 4:30, and then run to an exercise class at 5:15.
What's Ted like?
When you get to know him,
Why don't you take a crossover? Yeah,
Okay.
when do you want to
sit
sit? No.
Interviews on TV and in living color.
What else?
That's you.
Oh, yes. Now there are two celebrities in the family, the Vice President of Adamson Collins and the Queen of Valencia.
You gave me strength to stand alone again, to face the world.
Liza Caslow's life is a cross between Cinderella and the perils of Pauline. Sherry Mathis's routine is a bit less glamorous.
I'm trapped. I'm on a bus for 45 minutes, and I always have my script for the next show with me, and that's when I underline everything and read through it and go through it and work on it.
Working on a soap opera is about the highest pressure work in all of television. Everyone in the cast and crew is a crucial part of the team, and everyone's part of the family.
Hanging over, buongiorno.
Buongiorno, buongiorno. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good. You going to make
Already?
me decent? Then let's, what do you think? Full set?
Sure.
Okay, we'll do it after the makeup. I'm dying to chop it all off really short. I'm afraid they'll fire me. And they thought it was all natural.
Beautiful. I know. Me and God.
There will be better times.
If Liza is a Cinderella, then her Prince Charming is Travis Centell, whose nickname is Rusty. He's played by the popular Rod Arentz. Not long ago, Liza thought her beloved Rusty had been killed. Their memorable reunion was a torrid love scene which began in the open air.
There will be days gone.
With wind gently blowing my hair and my negligee. I didn't have anything on except for the nightgown. And the guy was there with his fans, and they kept aiming, and I was freezing.
Never say goodbye.
Soon afterwards, Liza and Travis were engaged, but their happiness was cut short. Liza was kidnapped by Travis's archenemy, the evil Nick D'Antoni. She was imprisoned on a deserted Caribbean island. Actor Jerry Lanning makes Nick D'Antoni chilling and convincing. What's hard to believe is that Liza, that is Sherry in real life, is Mrs. Jerry Lanning.
This is for you.
Although the newlyweds have acted together in other shows, they're best known for their roles in Search for Tomorrow.
Lady stopped me on the street and said, "Are you Nick? Can I do something to you?" And I said, "Sure." And I thought maybe she wanted an autograph, or sometimes people, you know, kiss you. She hauled off and hit me in the arm. And then she said, "I don't know why that woman, that lovely Liza, would marry somebody like you." Get out of this.
Because Sherry and Jerry are disciplined actors, their characters' feelings rarely carry over into their real lives. But sometimes the reverse is true.
When we actually taped this scene, he was really into it, and so was I. And after, you know, after it was over and it was cut, he burst into tears and held me and said, "Are you okay?" Because he really was pulling me around.
And I, you know, just threw her around, and she had bruises for a week. And
but, you know, it didn't...
the scene called for that, and that's what she was doing, so.
Liza eventually made good her escape from Nick. In real life, Sherry and Jerry do their running together around the Central Park Reservoir.
Your stride is bigger than mine.
Not that much bigger.
This is the instrument, and I have to keep it, you know, tuned up.
And after all, Liza couldn't have midriff bulge, right?
She fights it constantly.
What does the future hold for Liza and Travis? Well, let's review their recent past. Nick was just murdered by members of a crime syndicate. Liza was rescued by Travis, and it looks as though they'll get married as planned. Ah, but wait, Nick isn't quite dead yet. His spirit lives on to seek revenge against... Ah, but that would be telling. Yes, Liza's future may be a mystery in the world of soap opera, but things do look bright for Sherry Mathis and Jerry Lanning, and their Search for Tomorrow.
We'll be back in a moment with our evening departments.
Toppling turned out to be a very good idea for Bill and Gary. They get paid for their setups these days. We have some more good ideas in our departments tonight. First of all, Ted White is slicing up some zucchini for a salad that's great for picnics. The Phantom Diner is stopping back by Bob McCall's restaurant for some soul food. And the question that Evening Inquirers has been asking Pittsburghers is, how do you cure your hangover?
Hi there. Listen, this evening we're going to make a salad, and instead of using cucumbers for the salad, I'm going to use zucchini, okay, for all of you zucchini lovers out there. Now, the type of zucchini I like to use all the time is the small little zucchini like this. I don't want to get those great big fat zucchinis because they don't have the same flavor as these fresh, nice little round ones you see here. And what I do is I just slice it, as you would, your regular cucumbers for your salad, all right? Put it into a nice bowl. I take maybe 6 to 8 stalks of fresh onion just like this, and I chop it up and I throw it into my salad bowl, and then I take 1 or 2 cups of my favorite Italian salad dressing. Now you can use any type you want whatsoever, all right? Throw it all together, stir it up, and allow it to sit in this mixture for about 15 or 20 minutes. Now while you're doing that, take a small can of anchovies and put it into some container that you can make a nice mess at breaking up the anchovies just like this. That's why I love this little thing I have here, anchovies. Then I take 1 small stalk of garlic, okay? And just like that, make a mess out of that, throw it right in there and pound it to death. Once you get your anchovies and garlic all mixed together into a sort of a paste, add about 2 more tablespoons of salad dressing just like this. Stir it around. And then what I want you to do is add it to the top of the zucchini. And let me tell you something, it's a delightful, different kind of salad, and it certainly has another flavor that you're not used to in a cucumber or zucchini salad, and that would be the anchovies. Just stir it around in there just like that. Believe me, I think you'll find it delicious, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
I wasn't sure if I had discovered an ego trip or a restaurant. After all, how many restaurant owners do you know who have their picture plastered on the outside of their establishment? Bob McCall does at his restaurant at 4519 Center Avenue in Oakland. And as I gazed up at his pudgy likeness as I was about to enter anonymously one recent evening, I thought to myself, if a restaurant owner thinks that much of himself, he must think that much of his food. And I was right. The restaurant looks a bit like a high school cafeteria. That's because essentially it's a takeout place. But if you want to dine in, you can do so in a rather gaunt-looking environment. But enough about atmosphere. What about the food? It's surprisingly good, and it touches on several areas, from soul food to Italian dishes. I started with the barbecued spare ribs, which were good, but not as hot as I like. However, their subtle sweetness gave them a very interesting and tasty edge. I also enjoyed the crispy fried chicken, which could well make Colonel Sanders run for cover. The chicken brimmed with flavor and was so crispy it crackled at the touch. Other soul food dishes at McCall's are ham hocks and pig's feet, black-eyed peas, and greens. In addition, McCall's offers a variety of seafood items: fried shrimp, deviled clams, fried oysters, and a gigantic fish sandwich called the Big Willie. Notes on McCall's: atmosphere, forget it. Service, fair. Price, inexpensive to moderate. Cuisine, good. I'll be back next week. Until then, look around as you await your next meal out. That solitary stranger at the next table might be me, the Phantom Diner.
For those of you who may, every once in a while, party just a little bit too much, we have some cures for you tonight in our evening departments. We've been asking Pittsburghers the question, how do you cure your hangovers?
I don't know. The last thing I heard was you cure hangover with have another drink in the morning.
Drink orange juice.
Just raw eggs and milk.
Don't do the things that cause one.
Same thing you drank the night before.
I guess Alka-Seltzer.
Aspirins.
You drink milk before you get drunk.
Have another Bloody Mary.
I don't have hangovers. You don't drink.
Stay in bed, sleep it off. That's the best thing. Don't annoy people with it, because there's nothing worse than annoying sober people when you're drunk.
A lot of water, a lot of aspirin, and a lot of sleep.
Here's a little preview for you, Dave. Not bad, huh? All you need is steady hands and some patience, neither of which you would have after a big party.
You want to hear a terrible story about curing hangovers?
Okay.
I went to work early on a Saturday morning about 8, 9, 10 years ago with a slight hangover. And the guy I was working with said, what you need is a nice tall glass of cold gravy.
Oh.
The thought of that is so horrible, it snapped me right out of it.
Don't go away. We'll be right back, and we'll take you spelunking.
Make the grade with traditional Kmart savings. Ladies' tailored shirts.
Bill and Gary say that domino toppling is particularly hard on their knees and on their lower backs, which might also be said of a sport called spelunking, cave exploring. Tonight evening's Henry Tenenbaum takes us on his first adventure underground.
Yes, if you like glamour sports, well, caving is not for you. By the time you finish suiting up, you look like a cross between a coal miner and a very adventuresome auto mechanic. Now, the hard part doesn't start in the cave. After you pile on all the pads and packs and helmets, you've got to hitch yourself over the farmer's fence and take a little hike. My companions are members of a spelunking grotto, or chapter of the National Speleological Society. They're from the Sligo, Maryland area. Caving aficionados like these take eager novices underground almost every weekend year-round. But the inexperienced should never tackle caves without the proper supervision and equipment. Of course, on this day, Guide John Powers had his hands full.
You notice it's gotten a lot cooler since we got in here. That this cave temperature in here stays a cool 54 degrees year-round. Be careful, the sides here are really slippery.
Whoa.
My first pit. Not treacherously deep, but sufficiently dark and damp to twinge my latent claustrophobia. The rocks and caves get so slippery that special caving ropes are often employed. On this day, we needed them.
This flowstone and dripping in the water, everything does make things a little slippery. Whoa, you okay? Fine.
Even an experienced spelunker can lose a foothold, so you can imagine what can happen to a footloose novice.
Well,
For that reason, cavers should always travel with at least 4, so that in the event of injury, one person can remain with the injured while 2 go for help.
okay, watch the hole here when you get up.
Oh, no. We're supposed to crawl through that?
It was like my worst nightmare. Jagged rock walls closing in on you, getting narrower as you descend into the cave. This is what spelunkers appropriately call a crawl. I call it a drag.
Oh, my Lord.
For the frightened novice, the only thing worse than crawling is getting stuck. It was about this time that John's warning really came home to me.
Remember I was saying I'm not claustrophobic? Uh-huh. Well, I am. It opens up beyond there. I can't believe I'm doing this. There's a puddle in here.
Yes, puddles and dank, slippery condensation was everywhere. If there was a place to splish or splash, I managed to find it. Finally, we arrived at the end of this nightmarish corridor and slithered into a high-ceilinged chamber. In the course of our day, I discovered that intentional sliding is a recognized caving technique for going downhill, but not for going uphill.
I think I've got it this time. Ta-da! Thank you.
Oh, look at that. Well, that was worth the climb. Huge, stately organ pipes of flowstone, tiny soda straw stalactites. These caves are formed by gigantic geologic upheavals and water erosion. That's how the caves got here. But what are these people doing here?
Why do people do this thing? Go down in caves.
Right. Well, probably Hillary said it best, the first person to conquer Mount Everest, that you do it because it's there.
Yeah, but he was talking about the grand ascent, and I mean, this is the filthy descent.
Right. Well, further on we'll have a grand descent, but in our eyes, I guess, I don't know, I guess a lot of people think we're crazy to drive 6-7 hours and crawl through mud and water and ice for 2, 3, 4, 10 hours and, you know, do 200-300-foot pits and crawl back through the mud again. But to us, it's fun. It's hard to explain.
As incredible an experience as this day of caving had become, walking about these dank, blackened tunnels conjured up childlike fantasies of falling into chasms, of becoming trapped underground. Would I never get used to this? And finally, my fantasies became a reality.
Rope! I can't see the bottom.
Now this is truly terrifying. A narrow, wicked-looking gash in the underground. Down, down, down. Dangling by a rope into the blackness, shadows loom large. Perspective is completely lost. You desperately want to touch the ground, but staring into the chasm, you aren't so sure there is any ground beneath you. Finally, I reached the end of my rope, the bottom, only to discover that getting there was the easy part. Going up on the slippery surface proved to be almost impossible for me.
This is so slippery. Oh, falling.
I was totally exhausted, completely unable to pull myself out. So my friends grabbed the rope and pulled. Even our sound man, Tom Cheeseman, got into the act to help rescue me from this dark, dingy dream.
1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2.
Finally, the weary catch was reeled in. But in this condition, no one would want him. I'm lucky they didn't throw me back.
Okay, that's far enough. Thank you. Can I go home now? Let me get out of here.
After 14 hours in the caves, we finally emerged. But at this hour, this farmer's fields are just as black as the cave. And finally, I learned of a spelunking tradition. New cavers are toasted with a can of beer. Not the classiest celebration, perhaps, but then no one ever called spelunking a classy sport.
According to the spelunking experts, the slight case of claustrophobia that Henry Tenenbaum experienced is not at all unusual. In fact, about 25% of all the people who try cave exploring discover they have real claustrophobia once they get underground. Dave and I will be back in just a moment with the grand domino finale.
I'm here in this auto graveyard.
Well, there it is, 4,800 dominoes poised for the waiting crowd. Can you feel the tension in the air, Liz?
I sure can. 3 hours worth of work by Gary and Bill is about to fall. But before that happens, we want to tell you about Monday Night Show.
Several months back, Joe Green of the Pittsburgh Steelers made one of the country's most famous commercials, the Coke and the Smile commercial. We'll take a look at it again Monday night and talk to Mean Joe about what went on behind the scenes of shooting it.
Also on Monday night, we'll visit the tomb of the unknown soldier. You'll see the nation's most elite soldiers at work.
In our departments Monday night, Ted White has a suggestion for giving breakfast a fresh look and fresh taste. And if your child is fond of sweets and you're preparing for his or her first dentist visit, you'll be interested in Dr. Wasco's advice.
And Yvonne Zanos has found a way to eliminate all those old stacked up magazines. It's magazines on videotape. So that's our show on Monday night. Be sure and join us then. Have a great weekend. And now,
4,800 dominoes about to fall. Ready?
Should we do this together?
Okay. All
Good
set?
night.